Boom, boom.
Drop that beat.
Boom, boom.
You are tuned in to SunDogs present Local Vibes. WFNU-LP 94.1, St. Paul, Minnesota's only local variety station.
94.1 FM WFNU is a volunteer-run organization with many different aspects. Many different community voices. Each program expresses one aspect of our collective diversity, not the views of WFNU-LP or Frogtown Tuned In as a whole.
Bang, bang.
With all that out of the way.
Welcome. We've got Uncle T in the studio today.
Hey, what's up? Good to be here.
Thanks.
It's been a long time since the last time I was on this show.
It's been a while.
You think it was maybe 2 years or so?
Well, we can get the exact date here
we'll need to
during
get
the
that
break.
to our listeners.
But we really appreciate you taking the time out to come back and check in with us. It's I personally haven't seen you in at least a year.
Oh, yeah, God. It has to be longer.
It's crazy.
We got... follow Uncle T at your.uncle.t.
That's right. I switched it up. I took away the 612. I'm going global.
You are going global.
Exactly. You got to be ubiquitous with the brand. Follow SunDogs at SunDogsTC, and make sure to check out the SunDogs Present Local Vibes Facebook page. I believe that's just SunDogs Present Local Vibes.
Exactly.
Bing, bang, boom.
Nice.
We've got a little bit of business to take care of before we jump into the interview. Before us on 94.1 FM, you were listening to the WFNU Music Rotation, which is primarily local artists. If you are a local artist of any genre, send your music to station manager at WFNU.org.
And if you got those radio-edited hip-hop and R&B tracks, you can send them to sundogstc at gmail.com, as well as station manager at WFNU.org, and we'll make sure to not only get it in the WFNU music rotation, but also the SunDogs Present Local Vibes playlist.
Happy Hot Friday, everybody.
Oh my God.
Fridays are hot in general on WFNU. Our show is 6 p.m. on Fridays, and after our show, you will hear more of the WFNU music rotation.
Fridays at 9, get the gravy hot with Gall Dagburn.
Basic Beats with DJ Dom Terrace is at 10 o'clock.
Fridays at 11, Club 120 Plus Replay with Sid DeLuca.
And then it's a whole nother day. We've got a bunch of other shows here on WFNU as well.
Great shows.
Midday Escape with Philip Gracia is Fridays at noon and Saturdays at noon.
The morning program with Dr. Rick Burnett, that's live Thursdays and Fridays at 7 with replays Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays also at 7 a.m.
Wednesdays at 8 is the Extra Dimension with Ian R. Buck.
Saturdays at 10 a.m. is the 651 Sports Update with Mike Resendez.
Evolation with Mr. Zero and Dr. Rick Burnett is Wednesdays at noon live and Fridays at 8 a.m.
Hits in History of the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, hosted by Dr. Rick Burnett. That's live midnight, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with replays midnight, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
And then Funk to Your Ears, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Don't miss that.
We want to shout out our station managers again for really keeping up their diligent work in the transition. We're moving to a new location.
10 floors up, 11 floors up from where we were.
We'll be out of the basement and out of the doghouse, the temporary residence we've had here for a few weeks. But next week we've got Ice God the MacGyver on the show. Last week we had Chase Vibes sitting down in the doghouse. It wasn't as hot, but he kept it cool.
Exactly. But we've got Uncle T in the hot seat this week.
We've got a little bit more business.
Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I totally forgot. We've got other shows, other podcasts, etc. that highlight the local hip-hop and R&B scene. We've got Soda Sound Radio. That's the B&E crew with Half Pint and Nacho Suave. Thursdays at 6 p.m. And you can look that up on Facebook.
Also on Facebook Live, Chopping It Up with Pops. I don't think there's a set date, but I think shows are bi-monthly.
They're popping it up with chops.
Facebook.
Mini Rapolis podcast is Logan Michaels, and he does like a a rap show, like live in person, but then boom, during the pandemic, switched to a little podcast with all local hip-hop and R&B. So check that out, Mini Rapolis.
As well as the DJ Buster Baxter Show, highlighting some of the phenomenal talent we have here in the Twin Cities. You can find that on Mixcloud.
We've got another great show for you today. Sundry of music is coming your way.
Like we said, Ice Guy the MacGyver's coming in next week. Chase Vibe was in here last week. Uncle T is in here right motherfucking now.
If you want to check out any of the past episodes, you can go to the YouTube channel, SunDogs TC, or you can go to anchor.fm/localvibes.
And usually there are 3 ways you can listen to the show live. Well, 4 ways. YouTube is what we're on right now. Live on the radio, 94.1 FM, WFNU. You can go to,
WFNU.org.
Listen live.
/live.
And then download the Live 365 app. Save 94.1 FM as one of your favorite stations. And when you're vacationing in Thailand, you can tune into SunDogs Present Local Vibes. It's that easy.
So, SunDogs Present Local Vibes is live on the air, 6 o'clock on Fridays. And we've got the replay on the air Mondays at 3 p.m.
Last 2 bits of business. Follow Uncle T. Your.uncle.t. Follow SunDogs TC. Excuse me, follow SunDogs at SunDogs TC.
Oh yeah, oofda. Almost tragic. Wouldn't want people looking for the wrong stuff.
Shout out Tim, owner of Urban Lights, for the growing open mic that's...
And Vlad G and AKA Kobe.
Precisely.
And everybody.
That's
DJ
exploding. You were saying
stuff.
it's like the new Fifth Element. In regards to like
mic.
Networking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're keeping the vibes nice.
What are those, once a month at this point?
Yep, first Thursday of the month. I think they started at 6 o'clock this week, but it might be at 5. Anyway, the sign up, you sign up at the show. So get the show. The store is really cool. Got a bunch of cool photos with artists that have come through and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Very, very sweet.
It's like a museum.
It is. It's pretty awesome.
Trying to see the last time we had you on the show real quick.
Yeah, geez, long
Man,
time.
it had to have been 2019.
You might have been one of the first people, actually.
Boom.
Boom, there it is.
2018.
September
September of 2018. Wow.
That was almost 3 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So how's
what's
hip-hop
up?
been treating you since
Well,
3
you
years ago?
I mean, I wouldn't really call myself much of a hip-hop person anymore.
That's true.
I haven't rapped in a long time. And I've really just been focusing more on singing.
Yeah, you've been honing the craft.
I've been honing the craft. I think rap is really kind of what led me to singing. And I think that's kind of sometimes how the artistic process works. I think I'm a pretty good, decent rapper, but I think I'm a much better singer.
Heck yeah. And that due, like, I would imagine it's due to, like, the hip-hop community here in the Twin Cities being... It's pretty welcoming, and everybody was like collaborating, and that might have got you into working with like producers for like instead of like I like singing music, I want to be a singer. Might have seemed like a harder goal because there's not like singing open mics and stuff like that.
I mean, it wasn't so much about everybody else as it was just about developing that confidence to sing, you know. So it's like rap has a lot of times it's kind of a mixture of both, you know. So I started off kind of just singing just the chorus, you know, like I would just sing the chorus, I would rap the rest. And then sort of a lot of my music is somewhere in between rap and singing. So it's like I just dropped a song called Free, and that song's really kind of like in between singing and rapping. When I submit it to playlists and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't really know even how to play, what genre to put this in. And there's a lot of music that I've had that it's kind of in between, but a lot of the music that I've made recently is definitely much more of the singing, where it's like it's a lot more, I don't know, it's a lot more obviously that way.
Yes.
So anyways, it's a skill. It definitely is something that I've seen myself get a lot better at with practice. So if you don't think you're good at singing, you probably could be with some practice.
There you go. Yeah, practice. So since 2018, You've released a handful of projects. I don't even know if actually Business Casual might have just came out when we did.
Yeah, that was my first project ever. That was October of 2017. So I've been making music officially now for a little over 4 years.
Very cool.
So I've dropped 2 projects, 1 album, 1 EP, and then a bunch of singles. So yeah, I've dropped 3 so far this year, or 4. I've dropped 4 singles so far this year.
Heck yeah.
And so yeah, just dropped my second video. So I'm trying to keep really busy with it. I've got something lined up. I just worked with these guys, Honey Rock Audio, that I met. I recorded a new song with them at IPR, and I'm super pumped about it. It was definitely the nicest studio I've ever worked out of, which is really cool. You could hear your heartbeat in there pretty much.
Oh my gosh.
So that was really cool. I'm excited to get that mix back, because I'm like, just kind of trying to explore different studios and working with different people and kind of trying to figure out kind of like where I sound the best and who I sound the best working with, and that's kind of just part of the process.
Exactly. It takes so long.
It does. I mean, I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere with it, where I'm like, I'm finally working with people that I really want to work with, and it's just like, it takes a really long time. I'm working with this dude in Italy that I met over SoundCloud, and like, he's just really pumped about us working together. So we're working together very collaboratively right now. And then the dudes from Rising Path, I made a single with them, and it's so fire. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it.
I was going to say, I don't know if you signed a non-disclosure agreement, but when can we expect that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But I made a song with them that's really awesome. But so I've been working hard. I've got some stuff in queue. So I'm super excited.
Staying busy. COVID did not affect your work ethic too much, I assume.
Oh, no. I made a lot of music that I will never put out.
Oh.
But just all learning experience,
Yeah. We've got we were talking to Chase. He was talking a little bit about how like he thinks the trend is moving away from like dropping projects and just dropping singles. Is that kind of what you're feeling as well?
Yeah, I do. I think I don't know. It's like I had a goal to put an album out, and I really wanted to do that. I wanted to like have that kind of in my arsenal. And I felt like I needed to have that to like feel like a legitimate artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't regret it, because I learned so much from it, but I'm not going to allow something like so grand like that to get in the way of me putting out music anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, I mean, I've taken that knowledge, and now here, we're only in June, and I've already dropped 4 singles, and so it's like, that's going to be my continued plan. I think now what I'm focusing on, what I'm learning, is really learning how to kind of hone in on a certain song, how to promote it, how to get it attention, and that's something that takes a long time to learn. And so you can't just drop a song and then expect it to like blow up. So I've been doing a lot of research about kind of how to get my music into the ears of other people that maybe aren't just necessarily the Minnesota scene and stuff. And so really trying to think more globally, and trying to think about like just all of that other stuff is important to think about too. So now that I feel like I'm at a place with my music that I'm like proud of it, like, 'cause I've kind of developed skill for a long time. I wasn't necessarily like, I don't know, there's something to be said about like, it takes time to make your music to the point where like you believe in it enough that you want to like promote it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of music that I made that I'm proud of it all. There's a lot of music that I made, the first few years of making music, where I'm like, I wouldn't want to spend $5,000 to like promote this across the world, because like I think it's good and everything, but it's not quite where I want it to be.
Exactly.
And now I'm finally getting to this place where I'm like, okay, I feel like my skill is like to the point where I feel like I want to really promote myself a little bit more, and that's a fun place to be at with it.
That's really, really good to hear. I mean, I know being able to share your soul is difficult, but feeling proud enough about the art that you've transferred that into, that's huge.
Yeah, and I think also, so that's, I haven't told many people, but about me moving to Philadelphia. So I'm moving to Philadelphia, and part of the reason I was really hesitant to move about a year ago was I was like, I just don't feel like I'm established enough with my music. I don't really want to like go into a new music scene, but I've spent so much time in the last year kind of really honing in on my music that I feel more confident about going into a brand new music scene and being like, here's my music, look me up, because I feel more proud kind of what I put out and stuff in a way that is a lot more elevated than it was a year ago. So
that's a huge step.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, it's crazy, like meeting somebody and they're like, "Hey, can I listen to your songs?" And then it's like, "Oh, that's who they're gonna think I am when they go and listen to this music."
Exactly. So it's like that's kind of what, to circle back to like just the marketing side of things and just like having professional pictures taken and having all that stuff, because it really is a package deal. And I know as a consumer, when I look at people's music and I look them up and I see like if they got some grainy picture on their Spotify or whatever, if they're not taking it seriously all the way around across the board, that's going to affect the impact that you have on people when they're checking your music out if they don't know you. And so I've been trying to really just like think, in terms of the artwork from the music, in terms of just how I plan out the releases and all that stuff. I'm really trying to take it really seriously, to kind of give that impression that I'm taking myself seriously.
And do you enjoy doing that yourself and wearing the multiple hats, or hey, let's get more artistic people involved to add more art juice, if you will?
I mean, I do get other people involved, definitely, like in terms of like music and art, and it just kind of depends. I've been trying to do as much of it as I can, because but if there's stuff that I feel like it could be reflected better from another artist, I'd rather have them do it. And I think that's kind of the most fun thing about it, like when I get cover art made by somebody and I can send them the song and then be like, just make, feel it out and like make some art that you feel about it. I've had experiences both good and bad doing that.
Yeah, I mean everyone's interpretation will be different.
Sometimes you realize that like your interpretation is the best one, and so like, so that's something where I've definitely tried to like, I've got art skills. I just kind of had to like learn a program. I was making flyers for local dope for like 2 years, and I was like never knew what a lot of the buttons made on my Photoshop, and I just watched one 10-minute video since COVID, and I was like, I could do all kinds of shit with this now. I mean, or stuff, excuse me.
No worries.
So, yeah. So it's just a process. I do enjoy that part, but I do, I have a business, Side Hustle Salt. So, like, I kind of understand that that's something I have to do for my salt business all the time. And it's honestly just part of my life, just trying to make graphics and market myself. It's a lot to juggle both, but one step at a time.
Exactly. Yeah. Very fun, like small businessy type of stuff. It's nice. Branding yourself. You're the brand of the Side Hustle Salt, at least for now.
Yeah.
The logo.
It's fun.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't make that logo, but I love it.
Yeah. Was that locally designed?
Kinda, from somebody that is from here but lives in Mexico, actually.
Hey,
there you go. I've got a question. So you're saying you're working with more people, even globally.
You said Italy?
Yeah, this guy.
Sorry to interrupt.
So I promoted my music on SoundCloud through this producer guy named David Sonia, and I was kind of like I mentioned, doing some research. So I paid like $30, and he put it on a playlist for a day, and so I just got a bunch of followers from that, and I was like, oh, okay, that was cool. That actually was real, because sometimes you don't know what kind of stuff is legit and what's not. But it's super important to like figure out stuff that is legit, because otherwise your music is just like, it's not gonna just catch fire. So it's like, even if it's a really good song. So anyways, I've been trying to research ways to do that, and so I did that, and I've ended up meeting a bunch of different people from all over the world, just that are like, I really like your voice, it's really great, like, and so he's been the only one I've actually worked with, but just people that I've connected with through them hearing my music, like that is super encouraging. And it definitely opens up some more doors for me and stuff. So I'm working with him, and he wants to talk about doing something kind of on a little bit larger scale than just one single, so we'll see. But I'm doing that I'm just excited about a lot of different things. I'm not really committed to one thing right now. I'm just making the singles like we talked about. I'd like to put out an EP, but then I thought what's the point really?
Yeah, it takes just as much, because then you got to lump all your songs into one album cover, into one photo shoot, and
versus
it's like,
just a little snippet of a vibe.
Can be a little more customizable.
Single.
Yeah, it's just really fun to just like work with just a bunch of people and make one single, so it's exciting for you, kind of keeps you going. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put out a song, you kind of get feedback, and I think right now too, what I think I'm really noticing is like, I'm kind of figuring out what style I want to make. Yeah. And it's really more like pop, R&B, music. That the most recent song I came out with, like I mentioned, it's called Free, and it's a little bit more of like it's deep, it's more poetic, it's good, and I really like it. It's a great song. But I'm feeling like I'm really gearing myself towards that song a song I came out with, Real With You and Feeling This Way. Those are two really poppy R&B songs, and because that's the kind of music I listen to.
Yeah.
And I've showed myself that I'm dynamic, but I think I'm going to be most successful by really honing in on one pocket. And not to say it all has to sound the same, but just one sort of specific pocket, which is really pop R&B music. So
we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
And we're back.
Welcome back to SunDogs Present Local Vibes. We are sitting down, doing the nitty gritty, getting into the nitty gritty.
Had to eat
Uncle
a sandwich.
Had to eat a sandwich real quick. We are joined in the studio by one of the many SunDog mascots. If you hear panting in the background. But more importantly, we're sitting down with Uncle T again, talking about the change of perspective from working with international artists. From Twin Cities to national to global. I think everyone should be at least trying to think from that perspective.
Yeah, well, that's what's great about the internet. It's like it sounds really cool and everything like that, but also it's not really that hard if you are on the internet. You know what I mean? Like even BeatStars, there's so many there's something for me as an artist is what's frustrated me is waiting for other people. So it's like I don't do all the engineering stuff, and a lot of times I recorded in other people's studios or I waited on other people, and it's just like I get so pent up and I want to put out music. So I got a beat from somebody, but I'm waiting on the stems or whatever. And I'm like, oh God, I felt like for a long time that was what was preventing me from putting out music. So finally I'm just going to really expand my horizons and not think so small and just kind of really just, explore what the world has to offer rather than just people that I know. And that's been really great. And plus BeatStars is really dope because you can download the stems from the website itself. So it's awesome. And you can, you can buy exclusives on there and you can, or just find really obscure stuff. It's I used to kind of frown upon that. I'm I need to get beats from people I know or whatever. And then I was even that's preventing me from putting out music because I'm because at the end of the day, I'm not Beyonce. Like, people aren't going to know that this beat is not exclusive and that somebody else has it in wherever in the world. Like, I was like, I need to not do that anymore because it's preventing me from putting out music when no one's going to know the difference.
That's I was gonna ask you a little bit about that when I brought up the international thing, because we are always talking about how many artists are here in the Twin Cities and work with somebody local, etc. But I was wondering if you finding the lane of music that you really like has kind of made you feel like that is your community, like the singing community, like everybody across the world who's making music is, within reach.
I haven't thought about it that way, but that's a good way to put it. It definitely just makes me feel like it's like it goes back to the kind of developing that confidence. So now I feel like now that I know that's what I want to do, when I move to Philly and I'm looking for people to work with, I can kind of be like, this is the kind of thing I'm trying to do. Is this something that you're interested in doing, and blah blah blah. And the internet just makes it easy. Like, I googled I looked on Instagram hashtag like Philadelphia music, followed a bunch of artists from there. They followed me back, and I'm like, okay, this is so easy. Like, I'm like, it's just like it's the same way that I made things happen for myself here. Like, I just put myself out there. When I started making music, I went to open mics. I just did open mics over and over again. It's the same thing, and you meet people that way, and that's how I met Jamie Powers. He's one of my best friends in the world. It's like we met just at Fifth Element. Like, I know a lot of freaking people that I love in my life I met through those events. So
yeah. Are you planning on doing open mics out in Philadelphia?
Definitely. There's one right by my house, actually, my new crib.
No way.
Well, my girlfriend Kenzie, she was like messaging me,
scouting it.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh my God, I got an open mic to go to." And I'm like, "Oh, that's super exciting." I'm really excited. Like I said, I'm gonna be right near New York, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go out to New York and
crazy.
Just do some music out there and see what I can make happen for myself out there.
Yeah, that's so huge. There's probably 10 open mics a night.
Oh, you'd think. I mean, with COVID, especially, New York had super bad stuff with COVID, so I don't think they're. I went to New York like a month and a half ago, but that was cool. But I didn't think of stuff like that. Didn't seem like it was popping off. Yeah, restaurants and stuff are open, but probably by now they are.
Nice. Yeah, that's dope. So you brought, we got some time before we talk about the songs. We'd like to, recently we've been trying to like squeeze advice out of you. I don't know how confident you are in giving advice, but like to an artist who's maybe just getting started, what advice would you have for them on even just like where to start? You're saying open mics?
Yeah, I would say that. And also just like I mentioned, kind of just not waiting on other people to stop you from putting out music, because it's like, I think I took myself too seriously when I first got started. And I was like, I had to, I felt like I had to have, like, I bought exclusive beats when I was first making music. I spent like a couple $100s on beats, and it's like, I wasn't even good. Like, I was like still developing my skill, and I just took myself so seriously that it just prevented me from growing as much as I could. So I would say, until you're really the SHIT, I don't know how you're going to edit that. I'm just saying, until you're really like something special, like, don't take yourself too seriously, because like no one's really going to care until you're actually good. So like, use your time to like just keep making music. And I think something that's been really interesting for me to realize is like, it takes a lot of tenacity to make music and be confident about it, even when it's kind of mediocre. It's like, but you have to be mediocre. You have to be brave enough to be mediocre to ever be great. And it's like I've like understood that, and I knew that when I got into music, it was going to take me years to get to the place that I wanted to be. And a lot of people get frustrated when they're not like making music that they are super proud of. But it's because it takes years to do that. But you have to learn how to be proud of yourself along the way. But also understand that like, you have to finally realize when you have gotten to that point and then be ready to promote yourself, but I feel like it's taken me 4 years to really feel like, okay, now I really want to put my music out there and stuff. So I would say, don't get discouraged. If you really want to do this, it's going to take forever to do, and you're going to have to put out music that you feel super insecure about, and you're going to have to rep it. And that's the thing that's really tough. It's like, I've like developed a really thick skin because I've had people make comments, or people that I really look up to say that, oh, I don't like this song, or I don't like this song, or some people will say, I love this song and I don't like this song. It's like eventually you realize that it's like you are going to get that whole range of opinions every time you put out stuff, and you have to be really grounded and like be like, well, I like it. And I learned every time I have a release, I learned something about what I don't like or what I would do different about it. And then it's like I go on to the next one.
Next, and I assume working in the more single-oriented style of release, kind of quicker turnover for the berating of feedback.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Whether positive or negative, you know.
Definitely. That's a great point, because it's hard to get kind of like a full review. Like it's like of your full project. It's like, and it's funny too, because I mean, statistically speaking, like when I look at my stats for my album, it's just like, of course, like the first 5 songs have like the most listens, right? But I got a lot of feedback from people that were like, the second half of your album is like way better, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, you know, it's like interesting because I did it on purpose, kind of that way,
building up to
but then it's like I learned that it's like, you know,
people aren't in the car
most people
that long.
that don't like really love me are not going to listen to like my whole project. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is.
And a lot of people aren't album listeners anymore unless it's their die-hard fans.
I'm not, dude. I think I've like, you know, before I made music, I was obsessed with music. But now I have to like discipline myself to listen to music, because I'm always working on my own music. So it's like when I get in the car, I like listen to demos, and I'm like, okay, like, and I practice, and I'm like, and I use my car time as like a time that I'm rapping or singing or whatever. So I don't listen to that much music, and I have to be like, okay, today we're gonna listen to other people's music.
See what's going on in the world.
Exactly.
Make sure I'm still on the same
and it's
even page. Yeah.
It's tough, because I'm like, I used to be such a music fanatic, and I still am, but I'm just so focused on my own projects all the time, and that's just part of being an artist, is that balance. I'm like, I don't know. So people are like, so what have you been listening to? I'm like, oh God, don't ask me that.
Myself.
Like I'm like, because I do. I just don't have I only have so much time in the day. I got a job. I got a business. I make music, and I'm just constantly trying to squeeze in time to make practice happen. So.
Sorry if we're having technical difficulties. Sorry if we disconnected there. We're back. We are sitting down with Uncle T. We went offline for a few seconds, I believe, but we're back.
Ooh.
Rough internet.
That's.
We're doing a lot over here. We're doing a lot. We got a lot of stuff plugged in. You can't see on the cameras, but we've got a lot of stuff plugged in.
There is. I can testify.
It's crazy.
Follow Uncle T at your.uncle.t, and follow SunDogs TC. Excuse me. Follow SunDogs at SunDogs TC. Yeesh.
I'm gonna edit those right out.
Or throw in a beep. You know what I mean?
Like you're swearing at them to follow us. Follow SunDogs. Beep. Yeah, that'd be good.
You were talking before we went live that COVID kind of forced you to develop your own home studio. So is it weird working outside of your own studio, or has that become just at like any other booth?
I mean, it's the same. I mean, it's way better to work in a nicer studio. Like, I live in the city, so it's like I like laugh sometimes because it's like hot, and so I have my windows open. It's like I'm recording, and I can literally hear a horn honking in my headphones, and I'm like, God damn it! Or like somebody will yell, and I can I can hear it. It's just kind of hilarious because I'm like, oh, this is just not, and I can't hear myself as well. So it's like when I went to that studio at IPR the other day, I was like, could sing so much better because I can like really hear my voice.
So cool.
And so that felt really, I was like, oh, this is so much better. Like, it's not, you know, if I had like a professional studio in my house, I'd be like, that'd be great, but I don't plan on doing that really. That's what's nice about moving in with my girlfriend. I get to have my own bedroom for a studio, which is sweet.
That'll be dope.
Excited about that.
Heck yeah. I suppose singing is even more like you can't have, you know, it's probably even harder to do on your own recording than hip-hop, because I know a lot of hip-hop artists can get away with it.
I mean, I don't know. I recorded Real With You by myself. And so,
nice.
Yeah, it's not like harder. It's just like, it's just a lot. It's easier.
Yeah.
Not. to just be able to hear yourself. I mean, because with Real With You, I had to do so many demos. I just did one takes at this IPR studio because I was like, I knew exactly how I wanted it to sound, and I could hear myself exactly. So I was like able to do the exact cadences that I wanted to. Plus, I practiced for like 2 hours.
I was going to say used all the car time leading up to that.
I mean, one thing I've learned about recording in the studio is I always rehearse for like at least an hour and a half before I go into the studio, because especially with singing, like being warmed up and all that stuff is super crucial. And if you're warming up while you're recording, especially if you're paying by the hour,
it's a waste of time and a waste of money.
Even if you're not, like, it's just like if you you go in there and you know exactly how you want it to sound, and you know, like, I laugh sometimes because the guys I was working with, they were like, oh, like, it shouldn't take us too long depending on if you have your lyrics down. And I kind of laughed because I'm like, dude, I have the lyrics. When I'm writing the song at that moment, I memorize it because I will drill it like to figure out like how I want it to be. So it's just super funny to me. No hate towards anyone. When I'm like in the studio with somebody who will have their phone like reading it or whatever, because I'm like, damn, like I execute these songs to death.
Yeah.
Like before I get into the studio with them, so like I know them like the back of my hand, and I use that car time and all that stuff. So it's like that's really how I write music, is I obsess over one song.
Yeah, take us like start to finish from like either, I don't know if you write lyrics first or find the beat first, but take us like start to finish through a song, what it's like for you to make a song, just for
or
our
for
listeners.
example, Real With You.
Well, yeah, I mean, for example, so I guess what helps me to explain this process for me is that, so I used to be a fire spinner, right? And I used to juggle. So like I did like the flow arts thing for like 7 years. So I did that extremely seriously. So I basically drilled. So I learned how to learn through drilling. So like for juggling example, like with juggling, it's like it took me, 6 months to learn how to juggle the prop that I was trying to juggle, right? So like, but that just means picking it up, throwing it in the air, picking it up and throwing it in the air. And eventually I was really, really good at it, So that's the same method that I use with music. And a lot of artists don't have that background necessarily and probably learn things differently, but that's how I operate with music.
It's repetition.
So like, that's why when I go into the studio, I can get all my vocal tracks looking exactly the same because I have drilled it. So like I can do the same take over and over again, and I can have it look identical because I know exactly how high I want it to be. I know exactly how I want it to be designed. And so when I write a song, I just play the beat, I'll come up with it, and then I will just drill the chorus for, a few days before I even move on to the next part of it.
Yeah, wow.
And then I just drill it. So it's like I will really, before I record a song, I will at least probably have made 30 or 40 different versions of the song.
That's crazy. We have to take another break here.
I believe so, yeah. If you're just tuning in, I hope you're not just tuning in. SunDogs are sitting down with Uncle T in the doghouse. Please follow Uncle T at your.uncle.t. Please follow SunDogs at SunDogsTC. We'll be right back.
And we're back.
Welcome back to SunDogs Present Local Vibes. We are in the sauna.
Yeah, it's heating up, baby. We've got another segment to go. We've got some songs that you brought in with us. These are 2 singles from this year.
Yeah. Yep.
Doing feeling
Real with you and feeling this way.
That's right. Yep, those are my jams.
That's very cool. Acronym did Real with You or produce the beat, correct?
Yep, Acronym and this dude that lives in California, Josh Crespo.
Oh, okay.
They did like a co-production for that one. And then Reed Benjamin did the engineering. And then Feeling This Way was produced by Andre Marriott. And then my friend Megan Hamilton did the engineering on that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Thank you again for bringing those over. We're doing the math real quick because we like to exit the show with those.
Oh, nice.
I think if we start them at just at 50.
Cool. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the both solo and collaborative process of Real With You.
Oh, yeah. So
both
with
writing
Saeed,
and production.
Yeah, so that song was kind of birthed. So Reed Benjamin, look him up on Spotify. He did a house show. That was the last show that I did. And that was like, I don't even know when that was. That was last summer sometime. And so it was like on his little roof in his backyard. He has like a garage and it has like a roof. And so we did a show there and I did some songs and Saeed Brown was doing some songs and I was like, man, you're so dope. And he was like, we should do a song together. And I was like, you want to do a song with me? I was like, say less, So like I was like, so like it was like a couple of weeks. So like I had this beat, I got a beat, and I was like, this is the one, And so I started writing to it, and I sent it over to him, and I was feeling confident because I had just written the hook, so I actually didn't write the verse until after I got his back. So he sent his back, and I was like, this is giving me like some Khalid vibes. I was like, this is really sick. So I sent him the hook. He did a verse, and then I wrote mine after that, and then I drilled it to absolute death because I really pushed myself with the way my voice sounds on that song. And I really wanted it to be to the level that I think Saeed is because I think he's super talented. And I was just really honored that he wanted to do a song with me. And then we were having a hard time getting together. And then one day he called me at like 11 in the morning. He was like, hey, what are you doing right now? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, I have time to record that song. I was like, great. Come on over.
No way. That's
so
perfect.
He came over and I was like, because we were having, I was like, I really wanted that song to happen. So I was like, I was just kind of like, oh, I'll be so bummed if we don't end up making this happen, because I thought it was such a good song. So it's still my favorite song that I've put out ever. Definitely,
Nice.
It's really my favorite. So I've been pushing that one. I've been trying to get that on some playlists. It's just got onto some pretty bigger playlists on Spotify, which is really cool for me because I haven't had any of that before. So
I'd sound a couple of my playlists.
Nice.
Do you know which ones?
DA space MN. So duh, MN, so duh, Minnesota, or
Nice.
just and then I think I've got that cool THA, capital T, capital C for Twin Cities.
Oh, nice.
OOL is another one with that one's got not just Minnesota artists on it.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of trying
general.
to.
Nice.
This
that's
is
something
great
that,
music. You can listen to all of it all the way through without being like, all right, this kind of sounds like Minnesota. Like,
for sure. Yeah, that's something that people don't realize is the best way to support people is to put their music on your playlist because the algorithm, and is really helpful when we're submitting to editorial playlists and stuff like that. So it's it's a good way to support people and it's free.
Yeah.
Free to add your friends to your playlist.
I've found that when the passion for the project is of a similar level between however many artists are collaborating it, no one has to spend any money on anything. It's kind of crazy.
which is cool.
That is cool.
I mean, theoretically.
Theoretically. Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a process to figure out, like we were talking about before, just like the right people to work with and all those things. It's very trial and error. It's not for the faint of heart. This whole process.
Probably another reason to do singles is it's you can just
seriously. I know. I feel like
there's so much
expectation when you put an album out too, like for it to be like best album ever.
Like, this is a year of my life. Like, it better be awesome.
Exactly. And so then you put it out, you're like all insecure. I mean, every artist is insecure. I think it's kind of funny because Drake, you know, he just got Billboard Artist of the Year. And one of his things that he said, or of the decade, excuse me, which is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he was saying about it was just like, I'm still insecure about my music. And he's like,
That's huge.
and I, you know, it's like, but I know I did something right by, you know, obviously because I'm getting this award. And I was like, that's so true and so real, because it's just like you can be confident, you can be you can be the biggest artist in the world, and you're still like this. I'm sharing a piece of me. Will they like it? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this is a little different for me. And I'm a huge Drake fan because of not just because I love his music and I love the pop feel of his music, but I just I really watched his progression, and I just think he's a very smart pop artist, because that's how I look at him.
Started in the wheelchair, now he's here.
Right, exactly. He just had such a really cool career, I think. And
Absolutely.
So, but I just thought that was really cool to hear him say, because I'm like, shit, dude, me too.
Exactly.
I'm like, I feel it. And the people that, I said that to Jamie, one of my homies yesterday. I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of insecure about my most recent song. It's like, man, you make it look so casual. I was like, well, that's good, because every time I put out music, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Not everyone can be just completely narcissistic like Kanye and be like, this is the best song ever.
It's the best song ever. Exactly.
Because it's you come out
sometimes you do. Sometimes you fully feel like, okay, this one, I don't care what you think. You know, and even working with other artists when they do a feature, I've worked with artists, I've sent stuff back to them and they're like, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then just being able to actually keep making music after you have those experiences.
Exactly. To power through that, to use this fuel
exactly. That's
one of the toughest things to do.
It's tough. But I remind myself every time I have something like that. I'm like, well, I mean, that's just what it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it goes.
That's interesting. You're telling us about the poi background and learning a skill versus just having the talent to do something.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is great to do. I mean, that's why kids play sports when they're younger and all that kind of stuff, to teach you that you can get better at stuff if you practice and practice.
Yep.
I know it's been kind of an endless trove of advice, but you've said you've been making music for about 4 or 5 years now.
A little over 4, yeah.
If you could share a few things with 3 years ago, Uncle T, what would they be that you haven't touched on already? I know we've touched on a lot.
Yeah, we have.
But just time saving.
I mean, I probably would have told me to start singing a little earlier. You know, I think what I think it is about rap that I don't like is that there's a lot of rules with rap.
That's true.
There's a lot of rules and there's a lot of expectation. And there's a lot of cultural background that comes with hip hop too. Mm-hmm. That that as a white person I can't relate with, and I don't pretend to. But I just I felt there's an infringement on that culture in a way that I didn't want to. You know, I didn't want to do that. I didn't really have the understanding. It's but as you learn, you as an artist, you kind of recognize that, and you're like, where do I kind of fit with that? And not that you're not not that white people aren't allowed to make hip hop, but it's there is something to be said about examining your role in all of it. And that was, that was something that I had a lot of thoughts about.
Yeah.
But and just the technical aspect of rap, there's actual rules. You know what I mean? There's rules, there's wrong ways of doing it. There's expectations around, for example, what Drake gets a lot of flack about. I was like, what's another word for that? What Drake gets a lot of flack about is just not being hard enough and not coming from a hard enough background. And it's obviously not everybody shares that, but it's there's some of that too. And it's I was I just really want to be I love that about singing. There's no rules and there's no expectations, and there's a lot to be said about all that, and if whether it's right or wrong or whether blah 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 is besides the point. I just have found a lot more freedom in singing, and so I probably would have told younger Uncle T to explore that earlier on, but I really just didn't have the confidence then. I just didn't, and I kind of I used the juggling thing as a way to build my confidence to be eventually able to rap. And then the rap I used as a vehicle to get the confidence to sing. And I actually think that once I'm done with this, I think I'll move to comedy, because I think that comedy is kind of the next level of like
even more
vulnerability.
bare. Yeah.
It's even more bare
yeah.
because it's like when I think about juggling and the fire spinning thing, it's like I was literally doing a physical act I was hiding behind.
Yeah.
And then the next thing was rap. It's like I'm hiding behind a beat and kind of this like persona.
Mm-hmm.
And then with singing, it's a lot more vulnerable and actually takes a little bit more skill.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like with comedy, like you just have to be just
Raw.
a cool person. Like you just have to be like, you know. And so that's kind of like, I know that there'll be I'll reach a point with music where I'll feel like I want to segue into something else because that's kind of just been my pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I think that'll be what it is.
That's
So-
awesome. I can't wait.
Any of your favorite comedians currently, whether they be local, national?
I don't really have I actually don't really enjoy watching comedy on TV very much.
I'm
Or
right
like
there with
I
you.
like to go to comedy shows like open mic, stand up, stuff like that, but I don't follow comedy like that. I just and I think I probably would. But I'm not like into it like that. Like, but I just think it'd be a great thing for growth and experience. But I hate listening to like comedy on Spotify
right
or
there
even
with
on
you.
TV. It's just a snooze. I have to be there.
Philly's got a huge comedy scene.
Oh, do they?
Like,
That's
massive.
Huh? That's interesting. I should look into that.
That'd be great.
At least I'm sure there's more than 1 or 2 open mics like there are here.
I'm sure
you know
there
what
are.
I'm saying? But that's exciting. I was just about to ask if you were
What's
going to
that next
continue the
level?
progression. What do
Yeah.
you think will be after stand-up comedy? Philanthropy, president. Hey,
of the USA.
What
I have
what
an
is it?
associate's degree.
43 years old is the minimum or whatever?
35.
35.
Mm-hmm. You have to be 35.
I always thought it was 78 or some
No,
dumb
JFK
crap.
was the youngest president, and he was like 43 or something like that.
Thanks, Dad.
He's afraid telling you the wrong info. No.
No, I was... Thanks, Joe Kennedy.
Right,
Oh,
right.
That's exciting, though.
Yeah.
We hope your momentum doesn't stop, and we're really glad we got to catch a glimpse of
Yeah.
it again here
Yeah,
on the
thanks
show.
for having me. I'm sweaty, but I've had a great time.
I was going to say,
We're not
Do I
even
look
close.
sweaty?
Yeah.
Do I have a wet brow?
Not really. I don't
Okay.
think so.
Whew.
I was going to say, bring the letterbox down.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
We've got a few more minutes that we're going to start these songs. Please, we know you're on Spotify, listener, so please log onto your Spotify and just look up Uncle T. It's
You'll
that
see my
easy.
little picture. There's one other Uncle T on there, and he's like a French rapper kind of guy. And I like his music. And I have like one of those Google Home things, and I'll be like, okay, Google, play Uncle T. And sometimes it'll play me, and sometimes it'll play him. So I'm like, when I first was an artist, it wouldn't ever play me because there's more than one Uncle T on there, but there's only a couple that play that have music active listeners.
Yeah.
So it's me and this other guy from France.
Have you ever thought about a collaboration? Or would it be, what do you think?
Too competitive.
Their ego would be,
I have
well,
no-
who'll get the place?
I have no idea, but that would be funny to reach out. I don't know. I think I'm not sure he might not speak English. Like his music is totally in French. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
So cool.
it's kind of cool. Good thing that there's not like trademarking on names for stuff like that.
It's weird. I think in America, especially, the title of anything is just like free for all. You know?
Yeah.
I could name my
There's
movies,
so much
or I
stuff.
could name my album Zathura.
Oh, anybody can
And-
name it that. Right?
exactly.
But when it comes to like, yeah, because I trademarked my Sidles Assault,
Mm.
I like that.
and because I was like, I gotta do that. Otherwise, if I go on with my business and somebody else takes the name, I'm like, I'll be screwed. I'll have to rebrand.
Exactly.
So I was like, I had to do that.
And I think the same goes for music. It's just like get registered, register your stuff, because you wouldn't want something to blow up and then you get duped out of, I mean, forget about money, but the credit.
Yep,
You know what I
totally.
mean?
Yep. Actually, I just started to explore that aspect of things, and like it goes back to what I was saying. I was like, I didn't really feel like I cared about any of that because I wasn't really that pumped about my music.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was good. I was like, pat on the back, but I wasn't ready for it to be on Netflix or anything.
So register your stuff.
I will. I just signed up for BMI.
Awesome. Everybody else listen to it. We've got less than a minute. We probably got like 35
Do you want to
seconds.
play Feeling This Way or Real With You
Why
first?
don't we play Real With You since we talked so much about it?
Okay.
So we're going to listen to Real With You and then Feeling This Way. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Yeah, thank you again
Thanks
for sitting
for
down
having
with
me.
us.
Instagram, your.uncle.t. Is it your Uncle T on everything?
No, it's Uncle T612 on Facebook, but you can just type in Uncle T. That's the link. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's my Twitter too. I should change it though.
Should get them all.
Continuity.
Yeah.
I like your Uncle T though because it's like,
It's pretty good. It's
A little
like your
more
Asian dad or whatever it is.
is that something?
Yeah. there's I forget, like I think he was on Vine for a while.
Oh,
but
nice.
We gotta start this.
Thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
SunDogs present Local Vibes.
You know me better than anyone around me. You know me better than anyone around. Got no choice to be real with you. By the look on my face, you can tell my mood. All I really wanted was just something to do. No, I never really planned to be falling for you. Got no choice to be real with you. By the look on my face, you can tell my mood. All I really wanted was just something to do. And now every day's different, I don't know what to do. Getting in the way, hard for me to just enjoy the day. Patience never been one of my strengths. You know there's only so much I can take. Shit that I have planned for my life. It's different if I'm keeping you in mind. Feeling like I'm running out of time. So tell me what that means for you and I, baby. You know me better than anyone around. How could I ever let go of you now? You know me better than anyone around. How could I ever let go of you now? You know me better than anyone around. You know me better than anyone around. You know me better than anyone around. Got no choice to be real with you. By the look on my face, you can tell my mood. All I really wanted was just something to do. No, I never really planned to be falling for you. Got no choice to be real with you. By the look on my face, you can tell my mood. All I really wanted was just something to do. And now every day's different, I don't know what to do.
All I ever wanted was the truth. I got enough for me, it's just for you. I got what you need if you would choose. I got what you need if you could see the point of view. Yeah, stuck between the meaning, what's the use? It's hot, it got it stuck inside the roof. You can never walk up in my shoes. Better fail, shit that I can find within the booth. Never tell, they're just way too much for me to lose. Really nothing left for me to prove. I was feeling down, don't know what is left to do, yeah. I was on the ground, it was up for me to move, yeah, yeah. Think I'll be honest, I think I'm getting it off, me proceeding with caution. It's proof from the stars, got me feeling the fall. This I know what it costs, think of it often, on the brink of exhaustion, yeah. And I know what it brings, and I know in the moment, like I know everything, I just don't do it according, deal with it in the morning. Think to be honest, and I know everything, like I know in the moment. Do it according, do it in the morning.
Yeah, what's your I've been drinking way too much, you probably think I'm insane. Can you blame a girl for trying to deal with the pain? When everything around me suddenly subject to change. If there's one thing I am, at least I know anything. Everywhere I go, people they stop and they wait. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm feeling this way. I don't know what to do, I'm searching for the truth. With everything I am, I spend my heart in this blue. I make these songs just so I can carry on. Little bit to represent the town that I'm from. Keep applying pressure, get my message across. I'm just as lost as every single one of y'all. Trust me, I'll never stop. Trust me that I'm not okay. Used to it by now, shit, I'm just riding the wave. Pleasure and pain, yeah, it's all part of the plot. You know you can count on me to turn it all the way up. I've been drinking way too much, you probably think I'm insane. Can you blame a girl for trying to deal with the pain? When everything around me suddenly subject to change. If there's one thing I am, at least I know anything. Everywhere I go, people they stop and they wait. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm feeling this way. I don't know what to do, I'm searching for the truth. With everything I am, I spend my heart in this blue. Spend my heart in this blue. That's the only way that I know how to get through. Guess that's just my way of making sense of you. destined to fall. I could climb to the top, but what will that really mean? If I'm not right with him, I'll never be complete. I'm out here making a mess with my past and my sins. With every song that I write, some type of healing begins. When I make it to the end, when I make it to the end, don't wanna have no regrets. Don't wanna have no. When I make it to the end, don't wanna have no regrets. Don't wanna have no regrets. Don't wanna have no regrets. Don't wanna have no. Don't wanna have no. Don't wanna have no regrets.